Hey, we got that one real close. Real close. We say some not safe for work things right before it goes live for everybody that's watching on the YouTubes. Anyway, hit like and subscribe, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average to Good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies. And unfortunately, for those that maybe are unaware, we have a man down on the show for today. Tony Meola. Chuck, after we recorded our last show on Thursday, the man had a heart attack, went to the hospital, went to the ER, had emergency surgery. He's going to be fine. He's expected to have a full recovery. But what in the absolute crazy. So obviously it's easier for us to be feeling good about this because Big Tones is feeling good. But I think the main message here, and this is what he wanted us to tell everybody, Chuck, was that go get checked. He didn't get checked like a wellness check for 3 years. His wife was all over him. And if he just gotten checked, maybe they would have caught this a little bit earlier. We're thankful and grateful that he is still with us, of course, and he'll be back soon when he's feeling better. But holy crap, Chuck.
Scary. It's when I saw that text to us that he had suffered a heart attack, I almost threw up. It's unimaginable when we're just talking the game. We're on this podcast together. We're all hanging out, and to think that the fear he had in going through that situation, he said, thank God for his son who was there to really help him, and he said, I'm not going out this way, and so I'm so thrilled to hear that he's doing well and he's itching to get back. So he'll be back on the show with us soon.
Yeah, you obviously can show your love for Big Tones as we're going to do, but let's save it for when he comes back. Let's give him a big, nice, warm welcome when he returns, just to show how much we appreciate him and what he's done, not only for us here on the show and as people in real life, but just for the game. He's done so much. I feel like we underappreciate still, Chuck, how much Big Tones and that whole generation of players has done for the game in this country. Incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, that's true. That's true. We don't underappreciate it, but I just want to make sure that people understand for sure.
But all right, well, prayers up to Tony.
Of course, and to his family and to everybody that's suffering through that, and we've obviously had family members that have gone through it too, and yeah, it's heartbreaking. So just go get a wellness check. Go make it happen. I went and got my oil check recently. I've got a history of prostate and colon cancer in my family. Just go get it done. And it's not always glamorous, but it is important to make sure you stay proactive instead of reactive, right? That's ultimately what you want to do. All right. Leaving the heavy stuff aside, and we're excited for when Tony returns. Let's get into our show and have a little fun with the best community on YouTube. So, and everybody on your podcast platform of choice. So let's talk Americans abroad. We had Josh Sargent. I almost called you Big Tones. I'm already missing him already. Chuck Wagon. Here we go. Josh Sargent scored a brace in a 4-2 win versus Stoke. That's 7 goals in his last 6 games. Man is on fire. Gio Reyna started a game. Holy crap. Pigs are flying over in the Bundesliga right now. Gio Reyna started in Dortmund's 6-0 win versus Union Berlin. Everybody else had a hell of a game. Gio kind of quiet, all things considered. Christian Pulisic missed his first ever penalty of his career in Milan's 2-1 loss to Torino. Not a good week for Milan overall. And our pigs must be flying over Italy as well. Christian Pulisic doesn't miss penalties, but he did it. Tanner Tessman started and played the full 90 in Lyon's 3-2 home loss to PSG. PSG, dude. Wow, that game, they're excellent. When they break that first line of pressure and go, they're really, really impressive. I thought Tanner was solid in this one. Almost scored. Donnarumma had a good save. Johnny Cardoso played the full 90 in a 2-1 win for Real Betis versus Getafe. And Cucha Hernandez drew the penalty in that one. Ended up being the game winner. Antony still killing it. Got an assist, got a red card, doing it all. Any performances that stand out for you? Maybe ones I mentioned, Chuck, or anybody else out there that stood out?
Yeah, Josh Sargent. I mean, he should have had a hat trick, to be honest. Late in the game, there was a ball that was played in the box. He did an incredible job to put himself in that position. It was like a sliding type shot that the keeper made a good save on. But in terms of where our strikers are right now, he has stood out as the one, right? Because Pepe and Balogun are both out of commission. He's not only playing and scoring, but he's playing well and he's making good decisions. And the finishing, the second finish in this match is absolutely sublime. I love that he's drifting off the center back shoulders. He comes out wide, cuts inside. You think he's gonna hit one of those shots. Cruyff, touch, bang, upper left.
That's the stuff you work on in practice. You know, when you kind of by yourself, like, I'm going to cut at this cone. Let me do a Cruyff, and then I'm just going to get it out of my feet and swing. And hell of a goal. Guy's been immense. He's been immense. So
you can see the ball didn't really get out of his feet for his left-footed shot. I thought he would have had to take another touch, but he just adjusted and absolutely curls it top bin. So it seems to me that he's the clear favorite to lead the line for Nations League at the moment. There's not even anyone close if you're talking about playing with a traditional number 9.
All right, so let's talk about Josh Sargent. Let's keep this conversation going. With Ricardo Pepi and Flo Balogun out, I guess the question is, what does he offer that maybe those two guys don't? Before you answer that, though, I went back and looked at some comments from Josh Sargent ahead of Mauricio Pochettino's first 2 games in charge, right? We played Panama at home and then away to Mexico. And he was asked, alongside Brendan Aronson, what is Pochettino asking you to do higher up the field? And he just said, and this was interesting, just kind of have a refresher of this. He said that Pochettino wants us to be intense and high intensity on both sides of the ball. So when we're going forward, we keep it. We're making good, quick decisions to play and move and not, I guess I'm paraphrasing here, but like dawdle on the ball, right? Just like, how direct can we be? If we can play forward quickly, can we go? And if we can't, how can we keep it in their half and make them suffer a little bit? Again, paraphrasing. And then defensively, it's just high intensity. How difficult can we make it? How difficult are we to break down? And not that we didn't know that, but sometimes it's nice to hear from the players kind of regurgitating or me regurgitating what they said previously. And I don't think that's changed. So using that as a bit of context, I actually think, given what we've seen, especially in the last 6 games, he just looks fresh. He looks hungry. And obviously, he's got a ton of confidence hitting the back of the net.
I don't know if he necessarily gives you something that both Pepi and Balogun don't, because Balogun's a better dribbler. I think he's better with the ball at his feet. Pepi makes better runs. You could argue who's a better finisher between those two. But in the end, I wouldn't say he does one thing better than either of them. Maybe his hold-up play is actually better than Balogun. I think he's stronger with his back to goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Pepi's come a long way and really has developed in all those other facets of his game playing at PSV. So what I like about Sargent is that he has a calmness to the way that he plays as a number 9. He makes good movements. He's got a high IQ as a striker. And then we see what he does in terms of scoring goals. So at the end of the day, he's the only healthy option who's performing at the highest level, which goes back to as good as he's playing right now. And I hope that this transition helps him get into the U.S. men's national team and have him have, solid performances that he can move forward with and continue with the team. I think it just becomes that much more apparent that he needs a move come the summer. And, because this next move is so important for every single player who's potentially, destined for a move this summer, you need to be in a good situation where you're going to be trusted, you're going to be playing, and the only thing that really is going to take you out of the game is an incredible drop of form or an injury. And so right. In that case, Jimmy, wouldn't you think that Josh Sargent has separated himself from everybody else after Balogun and Pepi, who aren't even available?
Oh, yeah, that goes without saying. I got to see Brandon Vasquez for Austin and their 1-0 win over Sporting Kansas City. We'll talk about MLS a little bit later, but and I know it's just the start of his season. So, I mean, there are moments you see it, right? But there's just like this consistency to Josh's movement off the ball, whether he's defending or getting himself in good pockets. And that understanding, you said it when we were watching the highlight there. He saw the ball go central. He starts to drift out wide, off right. He's finding those pockets of space where he can be the most dangerous. There are plenty of pockets of space for players to occupy, but can you pick the right one in the right moment? And that takes time and understanding. And sometimes you just have to let the game develop around you. So I've just been really impressed with Josh since coming back from injury. He's currently got 11 goals so far in the season. That's good for 6th in the championship. 4 off the top, which is actually Borja Sainz is his teammate who's on 15. However, Norwich are currently in 10th in the championship on 47 points. But West Brom and Blackburn, who are in the 5th and 6th spot, which is the playoff, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6th, all go to the playoff. But really, they're probably only going to catch either West Brom or Blackburn. They're only at 51 points. So plenty of games left to go. You got 12 games left to go, and they're only 4 points back. Plenty of time to potentially get into that conversation and see if they can get into that promotion playoff. And then from there, we'll see. I think we speak for everyone, Chuck, that Josh has probably done what he's going to do when the season is over with Norwich. Whether they get promoted or into the promotion playoff or not, he's done what he's going to do in the championship and with this particular club. It's time for him to take that next step.
Yeah.
So really interesting summer for him overall.
Agreed. I just think you can only reach a certain level in the championship. And no disrespect to the championship, but that's what it is. And so what does that next move look like? Does it mean a return to the Bundesliga where he's played and he knows the league pretty well? Think about some of the teams that aren't doing well in the attacking third, who maybe are higher up the table. I look at a Mainz or a Freiburg, who have only scored, Freiburg's only scored 34 goals this season, yet they're a good team. So that could possibly be a phenomenal situation for him. And I know the area pretty well because my club, Sochaux, was in that area with Freiburg and Basel. So it could be a great fit for him. But I'm happy for him because he's been through the ringer, so many ups and downs, right? And health has been a big factor for him. So it seems like he's absolutely thriving, and he's ready for the next step.
Okay, another honorable mention who I didn't name, Chris Richards. He went with Crystal Palace to Fulham at Craven Cottage. They got a nice professional 2-0 win, beat obviously one of his teammates, Jedi Robinson, in that game. But he started the last 10 games for the Eagles, the Screaming Super Eagles. And they have won 6, drawn 2, and lost 2. And now that he's being trusted on a more regular basis by Oliver Glasner, the manager, it's been nice to see that the team has responded with some results. Now, obviously, they got Etse back, from injury, and they've had some guys that were out, and now they're coming back in. Whatever. It's just he's on the field, and they're having success. And from an American perspective, that's all that matters. So I want to give a shout-out there to Chris Richards, not only for that good run of 10 games, but another clean sheet, which is nice from our perspective. All right, let's talk a little Christian Pulisic. I don't necessarily want to lay off the guy a little bit, but in a game that they needed to have a good response. Obviously, going to Turin to take on Torino is difficult. That's always a difficult away game for every single club in Serie A. They went down 1-0, and he has a chance to tie it up at 1-1. Now, in fairness, Milinkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper for Torino, is the best goalkeeper in the top 5 European leagues, Chuck, at saving penalties this season. So I guess we're not all that surprised, but he made a good one-handed save to his rights. Christian, I thought he hit it okay, but still in the wheelhouse if the goalkeeper picks the right side, all things considered. We'll take a look at it here if you're watching on the YouTubes. Milinkovic-Savic, though, full of confidence. He's like Serie A's Tim Meola. Tim Meola's amazing at saving penalties.
No, Raimondo.
Raimondo was fantastic as well. But so Christian misses this, and they go on to lose 2-1. And so there's a couple things I want to talk about. One, since the 168 minutes that this Fantastic Four, that I think they're calling them in Italy, we got Leao, Santi Jimenez, Joao Felix, and Christian Pulisic. They've played together for 168 minutes, and they've scored 1 goal when all 4 of them are on the field together. That's underwhelming for a lot of people's perspective. And so I wanted to get into that. And I also want to get into the pressure that Christian felt that he put out a note on social media apologizing for missing, and that he hates letting down the Milanistas out there. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, that's why quote unquote, you want your players to go to Europe, so they feel that pressure game in and game out. But sometimes I feel like it's a little bit too much. I don't know if he owed anybody an apology for missing a penalty. The guy's been unreal in that space for sure. But let's get back to the 168 minutes. So much talent here, and yet they still don't seem like they're functioning at a high level.
No, and I think the biggest change here is this Joao Felix playing in the midfield, playing as a 10. Christian Pulisic is used to a midfield trio that is not so much dancing on the ball. They're very quick, and they're not looking to occupy the space that normally he would, because it's Reinders, Musa, and Fofana. That's what it was. And so now you're talking about, Reinders, Musa, and Joao Felix. And so you could just tell that the rhythm is completely off. That Joao Felix plays to a different drum, and then you throw in Rafael Leao, who is hot and cold and more so cold. Only really turns on when it benefits him, right? Not so much someone who makes the other players better. So it's a difficult situation, but he missed a penalty.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the other 10 players? You know what?
Right.
The Conceição has been a disaster of a coach. Okay, yeah, he won, the Super Cup, right? Yeah, great. But Serie A, he's been terrible. So for me, this is about figuring out a way to get the attacking third going for Milan, because it's been a lot of bad decisions. Think of Theo Hernandez and the red card. Think about, it feels like too many people are taking too many touches at the moment.
I also should probably back this up a little bit. When the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, I actually can't remember the exact minute, but the first goal that Milan gave up was a through ball that should have been handled by Thiaw and Magnan in goal. Mignon comes out and tries to clear it. It hits Thiaw and it goes in. I just cue the circus music. Right. That obviously doesn't have anything to do with Christian or anybody else on the attacking side. And then the other goal they give up was a quick free kick taken by Torino, and Milan just wasn't paying attention. And the guy, he hits a hell of a shot into the corner, but it's just these little moments, right? So yes, it's Theo Hernandez one game. It's Mignon a couple games now under Conceição. Some of that he has no control over. Here's though when I want to talk about Conceição, because there's a knock on him that he's got an idea of how he wants his teams to play in build-up, right? From deep, in how they want to defend, right? He's very good at making sure the intensity off the ball is good, how they pressure, where they trap, all that stuff. But there's a knock on him as a manager that when it gets into the attacking third, he lacks ideas. And there's not a real identity of how Conceição wants to play. I assume if I'm him, listen, I got Christian, I got Joao Felix, I got Rafael Leao, I got Santi Jimenez up top. They're going to figure it out because they got the goods. Those guys are incredibly talented attacking players. But they still need a little bit of guidance too, right? In terms of where we're going to go, how we want to break it down. And I should throw this out there. It even took Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, and Rodrigo a little bit of time to gel at Real Madrid, right? When Mbappe first came in. So maybe we should give them a little bit of grace here, Chuck, as they try to figure it out. But Milan are in such dire straits right now with having to win must-win games, and they've been struggling in that department.
We're gonna compare them to Vinny, Rodrigo.
I'm not comparing them as like players. What I'm saying is, even if you add a player as talented as Mbappe, it still took him a little while.
Yeah,
that whole offense to kind of get into position.
Yeah,
but start to play, have a rhythm.
But the difference is that's a team that had won the Champions League the year before.
That's fair.
Yeah, and now you're bringing in misfits. Look at the amount of time Joao Felix has spent at the clubs the past 4 years, right? And the ins and outs and the playing time, and there's a consistent thing happening here, which is, he doesn't really fit because his style is a certain style, and it seems like he's a good guy off the field, but in terms of on the pitch, I think it's been difficult for him to really gel with certain squads. So what I'm saying ultimately is, we can't blame Christian for missing a penalty kick. Everyone misses penalty kicks. I look at the whole performance. I look at the team, and the team is not performing well. So for me, it's Conceição needs to figure things out. And I also want to give a shout out to Yunus Musa, who's figured out a way to get on the pitch with 3 different managers since his time at Milan. So that's good. That's good as well. Even though he was the first substitute, I want to say he has still figured out a way to play in front of a player like Fofana, who they spent millions of dollars on. Right. So it's a good sign for Musa that he just needs to continue to figure out ways to impact the game.
Yeah. Fofana actually came on at halftime for Rafa Leao. So that kind of tells you what you need to know about Conceição's feeling on Leao at the moment. Tammy Abraham came in 9 minutes later after the half for Yunus Musa when they probably needed a little bit more going forward. It's tough. They got back to 1-1. So they got it back to 1-1 and they just shut off, with 15 minutes left to go. And it's just some unacceptable decisions for a club of this stature and for the players playing on said club. All right, Chuck, we're going to take our first break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, though, MLS just kicked off their 30th year. I can't even believe it. But here we are. We have 30 teams, including one San Diego FC, who pulled off the upset against the LA Galaxy. We're going to dive into that and much more, so keep it here.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back into Call What You Want. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Chuck Wagon, and we are going to talk a little MLS, Major League Soccer, back after 30, or I guess back after just a couple months. It feels like the offseason gets shorter and shorter, but it's its 30th year in existence with 30 teams, and there were some banging results, Chuck.
Oh,
We had LAFC kicked off the whole season with a 1-0 win. Jeremy Abobasi with a really well-taken goal, though I thought Minnesota United were the better team. The Crew, without Cucho Hernandez, goes down a goal twice and comes back and wins 4-2 to ruin Greg Berhalter's return to coaching in MLS. FC Cincinnati, very professional performance. Their new player, Kevin Denke, scored the winner in this one, 1-0 over the Red Bulls. The Earthquakes, I was at this game. We'll talk about it in a little bit. 4-0 beatdown of Real Salt Lake. Inter Miami got a goal, got an early red card, and then had to fight back to make it 2-2. Hey, this guy named Leo Messi, who's in the league, Chuck, excellent player. Atlanta United, baby. Emmanuel Latelaf scores 2 goals in his debut from Middlesbrough. 3-2 win over Montreal. The Galaxy losing to San Diego FC in their home opener, season opener, as defending champions. San Diego FC, well played there. And then Houston Dynamo at home against one of their rivals in Texas, a Texas Derby, lose after going up 1-0, 2-1 to FC Dallas. Shout out to Eric Quill for his first ever MLS win in his debut. One of my teammates in Kansas City back in the day. There's other results, of course, but those were the notable highlights. I know you were part of the Nashville New England game. Do you want all 90 minutes of your life back for that one, Chuck?
yeah,
0-0.
Good old 0-0. The Revs are better than they were last year. Spoiler alert, considering they couldn't be any worse.
Right.
But yeah, I think this New England side will surprise some teams in the Eastern Conference. But they're definitely not one of the strongest teams in the Eastern Conference. And then for Nashville, it felt like the same old Nashville. Didn't really do anything to impress, and they are in dire need of a striker.
I saw, as one does, you kind of looking around, seeing what other people are predicting. I saw somebody say, I can't remember who it is, otherwise I give them a shout out here, but they said that Nashville would get the wooden spoon this year. They'd be the worst team in the league. It's going to be hard. You have to actively be bad to be the worst out of 30 teams. So I hope Nashville signs a striker. Nobody wants to be the person that owns the wooden spoon, like the San Jose Earthquakes. Listen, Chuck, I went to this game, okay? I went and hung out. I got to spend some time with Bruce Arena and his coaching staff, Dave Sarakin, Shalry Joseph, Steve Ralston, Aiden Brown is their
What a crew.
coach.
What a crew.
It's a crew. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to go and hang out before the game, see what's cooking. All we did was laugh and watch other MLS games. It was the best. I love those guys. And they knew exactly how they wanted to play, what they were going to do. They won no games in preseason, but they were ready for this one at home. It was a comprehensive performance. Maybe there was 10 or 15 minutes where RSL had a couple chances, but overall, on both sides of the ball, I was super impressed. And that is not a San Jose team that I recognize from years past. This is a team that's a lot more organized. They're playing a back three with some wing backs. I thought was really impressive. He's trusting some younger players, Bruce, that I thought really performed. And you have some experience up top in Chicho Arango and Joseph Martinez. Neither one of them hit the score sheet, but they're going to be dangerous. And I was really impressed with San Jose. So we'll see how they perform against my other club, Sporting Kansas City, this weekend, also known as the Jimmy Conrad Derby. But I'll say this. I'm going to pivot to Diego Luna because there was one bright spot for Real Salt Lake. This is the first time that I've seen Diego Luna play in person. And I was really, really impressed with his work rate off the ball to find himself in good spots, to keep the play moving. He really dictates the tempo. And when he gets the ball, you start to pay attention. You know, as when you're a fan and a player gets the ball and you're like, all right, this guy's going to do something. So you kind of get into like the edge of your seat a little more and see what this guy's going to do. I was getting that feeling consistently when watching Diego because he was going to make something happen. So I don't know. I can't compare that to last year or when he started to emerge as a top talent, but I was really impressed with how he performed. So I just want to give a shout out to Diego Luna.
In saying that, because I know it's week 1, a lot of things can change. Teams can sign players, players can get injured. But in terms of what you saw from RSL, are they trending towards wooden spoon? Was this a one-off, or did you really see a lack of quality outside of Diego Luna?
I wonder, because for those that don't know, Real Salt Lake sold Chicho Arango, or traded him, or whatever the rules are, both, I don't know, to San Jose. And I thought that was interesting because Chicho had scored a lot of goals for them over the last 2 seasons, or since he had returned. And I think they lack a little bit of that, right? There was nobody that I thought was really threatening to get in behind for them. And it doesn't always have to be the number 9, right? The number 9 can be someone that, okay, like a Giroud. We don't need, if we're speaking, I don't know why I said we, but if we say Giroud to drop into midfield, then you just need runners to be in advance of them. Somebody has to stretch the back line. And I don't think that Salt Lake did that consistently. Right. And so it just felt pretty predictable outside of like, let's give Diego Luna the ball, find him in good spots, and see if he can make some of the magic happen. Now, he had a really good chance about 5 minutes in that I would say, based on the luck the Quakes had over the last previous seasons, he probably would have scored that. But for whatever reason, when Bruce sprinkles his magic coaching dust on the team, man, that stuff doesn't happen, or they figure out a way to just fight through it and keep playing and playing well. So yeah, ultimately, I didn't answer your question directly, but I will. I'm nervous for Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Don't think they looked very good. And I know it's just 90 minutes, so it's a small sample size, but I would be concerned if I was Pablo Mastroianni.
Well, it'll be interesting because we know Bruce isn't in this for a long-term project. But if he can get veterans like Arango and Joseph Martinez and then Espinoza, that trio
was excellent
to score goals and Quakes have a high potential for this season.
Here's one of the things that I think Bruce has done an excellent job of. Christian Espinoza, normally a winger, right? Came into the league as a winger and in a 4-3-3, whatever. Now they're playing with wing backs. Christian Espinoza is doing the work defensively. If the ball's on the other side, he's dropping in as the right back. It's really, really impressive. And so he made him the captain. And you can see when I've been to a practice, Christian's the most vocal. He's demanding more. He's trying to set the standards. And I thought, well, that's a great choice, an inspired choice to make him that. And now, okay, great. You want to be the leader? Then I need you to do a little bit more. And he's doing a little bit more. And he's one of the few guys, I think, with Christian who can hold Joseph Martinez and Chicho Arango to account, right? You have a younger guy who maybe not get that same type of respect, but if Christian Espinoza is yelling at you, you're going to respond. So I just think they've got a nice balance there. Obviously, a lot of work to do. Again, small sample size for San Jose as well, but I was really impressed with the first one. Let's talk, though, about Patrick Agyemang and Tim Ream, who played in Charlotte's 2-2 draw, come from behind against the Seattle Sounders, scored very late in that one. Seattle, Jordan Morris scored 2. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this particular game, Chuck, because some good, some bad, like always.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was quite telling when a veteran like Jordan Morris, who's been around for a long time, stands out in the way they did, and Patrick Agyemang did not. And of course, it's the first game, but if we're talking about trying to build on performances so that you put yourself in the best situation, the best potential opportunity to get a call up, I don't think Patrick Agyemang helped himself at all in this game. And then we saw Jordan Morris just saying, hey, just don't forget about me. I can do it in MLS as a 9. I'm central. I make good runs, good finishing. So I'm happy that Jordan Morris is start off this season on the right foot. And you can see great timing of his run, and then gets it by the keeper there, Kalina, goalkeeper of the year, MLS goalkeeper of the year last season. So yeah, it was rough at times, but Jordan Morris is still able to do it in MLS. That's for sure.
Well, U.S. Soccer has or had to announce a 60-man preliminary roster for the Nations League. Both Patrick Agyemang and Jordan Morris are on that 60-man roster. Obviously, they're going to cut it down to 23, maybe 26. We'll get some confirmation from Ivis and Des in our chat, but it's they're both in there. And Jordan Morris kind of picking up where he left off, scored more goals last season than he did at any point in his professional career, and having 2 to start the season is a good sign. Another player, though, let's flip it to another younger player. Brian Gutierrez scored 2 for the Chicago Fire against the Columbus Crew, clearly being asked to take on some more responsibility. I thought Greg smartly put him in the middle of the field so he could be a little bit more involved, whether it's making that final pass to somebody or getting into the box to put himself in dangerous areas. We'll see both of his goals right now if you're watching on the YouTubes. I thought Jonathan Bomba was great on the left side for Chicago Fire as well. Chicago kind of shot themselves in the foot. They gave away a lot of cheap goals in this particular game. And one of the worst own goals I've ever seen, by the way. But
by the way, that is a symptom of Greg Berhalter's teams in the beginning phases, especially early on in the season. They're so focused on trying to build out of the back, and sometimes the players are for sure not used to it or even have the quality to do it. But they eventually get there. But in the beginning, they usually do struggle, and so that's what we saw against the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, we're getting a good look here. Bomba's going to be a good addition, all things considered. But shout out to Columbus Crew for fighting back. Not having Cucho Hernandez, I think, is going to be a big challenge for Wilfred Nancy and the squad. But nice big result for them in their first home game. All right, let's talk about Inter Miami. What do you think of that performance from both sides? Frankly, I mean,
yeah, I want to go to you first on this game because as a center back, to me, it looked like Tomas Aviles gets a piece of the ball, and therefore it can't be a red card if the challenge is if he gets the ball first in that position. Obviously, it's a desperate challenge, but for me, I didn't see a foul, let alone a red card.
Yeah, it felt pretty harsh. I want to say the referee, and I don't know if they have to give a report or not, but I wondered. Aviles was clearly so ultimately to explain this play. They get in behind, and Aviles, one of the center backs for Inter Miami, is already starting to grab him before he makes his movement, right? I mean, there's a significant grab. You can see there's some twisting there. And then he makes a good tackle, and he gets to the ball first. I thought it was super harsh, and so much so that Messi was given an earful to the referee after the game. I mean, not just an earful, Chuck.
Yeah,
but like running commentary, and then turned around and gave him some more running commentary. And maybe the ref wanted his jersey for the second straight game, and Messi was like, "I've had enough." I don't know. I'm making bad jokes here, but yeah, there was clearly some frustration with some of the calls that were being made in this particular game. We're getting a look here on the YouTubes of Messi giving an earful to the ref. Messi's hair, he kind of looks like he's gone with like 14-year-old teenager hair. Just for those watching. But
yeah,
I don't know. I guess one of the questions is somebody else. Brian Gutierrez is in that 60-man preliminary roster as well. 23 players will be named. March 10th is when that 23-man roster has to be confirmed. We'll obviously have an emergency podcast or just a regular podcast when that drops. Ben Kremasky is also on the 60-man roster. How much do you think he's developed or will develop because he's playing with Messi and Busquets and Jordi Alba? Let's just talk about him a little bit, because I wonder, like, if he had played somewhere else, let's just say he was at RSL, with all due respect, but I'm just saying that the quality of player there is a little bit different than when you're around Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Jordi Alba. How much do you think Kremasky improves because he's surrounded by those guys?
You're naturally going to improve probably in a much more of a rapid way in terms of your IQ, your first touch. That you can't, when you play with certain players that have played at the highest level, you can't get away with poor touches, even if it works out for you, and not hear it from them. So I think in terms of his development and getting things right and preparation and focus and your movements off the ball and vision, all of those, the small details, I think there's not a better team to be involved with, because they're always going to hold you to the highest standard. Luis Suarez, you could see he'll give it to anybody, even if he's maybe if he doesn't do the right play, but you missed your pass or you missed your touch, you're going to hear it from him. So I like the fact that some of these players, they're trying to help guys along, and sometimes it might be a little bit harsh than you're accustomed to, but I think that's good for Benjamin Kremasky. Where it backfires for him, I think, is sometimes you always have to defer.
Right.
So
you don't ever get to be the guy, right?
You never get to be guy, and you always feel the obligation is to get the ball to Messi's feet right away. And let's be honest, he's the best player in the league by far. So yeah, you want to give him the ball, but there are times you want you want to be the one who has the onus to create. You want to be the one, who takes that shot, and you're not thinking in your back of my mind, is Messi going to be mad at me, or is Luis Suarez going to be mad at me? So there's positives and negatives to every situation. I think that's the negative, is you constantly have to have them in your brain of, okay, I want to please them. I don't want to, make a mistake that's ultimately they don't want to play with me.
All right. So using Kramaski and others that we've mentioned, let's talk about this preliminary roster a little bit, because I feel like there are some names on here you wondered if they were on the radar of Mauricio Pochettino and his coaching staff, Chuck, right? And so now you see some names. Noah Kai Banks, for example. Okay, young center back playing at Augsburg in the Bundesliga. Is Pochettino paying attention? Is he a little bit too young? He's included. He's included in the 60-man. He's not going to make the 23, but it's nice to see that he's in that roster. We got Cole Campbell's on here. Another thing too about this roster is it gives everybody's full name. So you get to see all their middle names and stuff. There's some funny middle names. Who else do we have in here? We got Busio. That's not a big surprise. Wow, Johnny Cardoso's full name is João Lucas de Sousa Cardoso. That makes Jimmy Conrad sound really boring. You got Max Dietz is in here. Damian Downs is in the team. Who else? Marlon Fossey just had an assist over the weekends. He's in. Nathan Harriel, Ethan Horvath. Who else I'm looking at? DeJuan Jones, Diego Cochin, Diego Luna. Anybody else that Shaq Moore, Aiden Morris, Jordan Morris, all the Jackson Reagan's in. Gio Reyna, Tim
Ledezma.
Ledezma. Hold on, I must have skipped right past him. I don't actually see Ledezma on the list. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No Ledezma on the team.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's with the Mexican national team in that case.
Interesting. Yeah, Tim Webb, Brian White, Brandon Vasquez. Griffin Yao, Alejandro Zendejas, Zimmerman at the bottom of the list with Yao, Zendejas, and Zimmerman. By the way, fun fact, Walker Zimmerman's middle name is Dwayne. That's sick, dude. That's a cool middle name. Walker Dwayne Zimmerman. But yeah, no Ledezma. Wow. Surprised?
That means he's probably made up his choice. That Mexico is the right fit for him, or for whatever, because there's no other explanation. If you're playing Champions League football, you're playing with, one of the best teams in Holland. Naturally, you would think you'd get a look, at least in the 60-man, right? I think that's what it comes down to, is he decided to look at another country, another opportunity, which would be. So
Mexico. I wonder if we're Ledezma for a second, if he looks at the path forward with him at the U.S. I don't know if he even, I think he likes playing. So you're going to say, yeah, I'll play right back for PSV, but he might see himself as more of a central midfielder. Yeah. And if you're looking at the U.S., you're going, it's going to be tough, right? That's where we got a lot of players in that area. But if Dest comes back, obviously Tim Weah has demonstrated he can play there. Yunus Musa can be out there in a pinch. We got a whole bunch of players that can play out right back in a pinch, who maybe don't necessarily play there, that maybe would be trusted over Ledezma in that space anyway. And if he wants to play in the middle of midfield, he might look at Mexico and be like, I think it might be better for me. My path might be maybe less challenging. Not that it's not going to be challenging, but less challenging.
That's probably what Zendejas thinks right now.
Like, should have played for Mexico, bro.
Shit. I made the wrong choice. Shit.
I made that wrong choice. Yeah, especially because he's killing it right now. I bet you they'd call him up for sure.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Wow, we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out. Again, March 10th is when this will be cut down to 23, but it was kind of cool to see some of the names that we've been talking about recently, been playing well, no matter what their age. Get a look on the 60-man preliminary roster. All right, we're going to take our last break and call it what you want. When we come back, we are going to talk a little Gio Reyna. We're going to talk a little punk music. And basically, we're going to let you trigger who you want, but that's mainly, that's Charlie, not me, because I'm super steady all the time. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, we always find our way back home.
All right, welcome back in to Call What You Want. I'm Jimmy alongside Charlie, and we are going to talk, as promised, about Gio Reyna. Got a rare start, Chuck. I can't even remember how long it's been since he started a game. I'm sure it's not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago. He gets the nod. Dortmund absolutely crushed Union Berlin 6-0. He went out when it was 2-0. And then they just exploded at the very end. And he had a pretty quiet game. I actually think he was better than what I'd seen previously from Julian Brandt, but Brandt's level hasn't been very good, so that bar isn't very high. Now he played 70 minutes, had 33 touches, 2 recoveries. What I do like about Gio's game is that he always wants the ball, right? He's always trying to put himself in a position where he wants the ball. He's never shirking that responsibility. He's not trying to hide.
No.
But he didn't necessarily do much with it in this particular game against a team that clearly was ripe to be beat and to give up a lot of goals. So he didn't have any goal contributions, but I thought he was pretty quiet overall. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I think it still goes back to us saying that he needs a move, right? And I would chalk up the performance to not being in a rhythm with these guys. You know, if you're getting consistent starts and you're getting on the pitch and you have like a good chemistry with Adeyemi and Bayer and Guirassy, I think you would start to see that flow, as well as receiving passes from Sabitzer and Pascal Gross. But to me, it just feels like it's not that he's not confident or he's not good enough. I just don't think he's in a good rhythm, and the chemistry is not there on the pitch, and that shows. So, you know, again, Dortmund haven't been getting good results. They haven't been playing well. Yeah, they beat up on a poor Union Berlin side, but Niko Kovac hasn't impressed. So,
yeah, they needed this, right? And their first goal, Ryerson from the right side just tries to cross one in, deflects in, and they needed a little bit of luck, Dortmund, and they got it in this particular game. And once they got that one, that turned into 2 very quickly. And then as the second half started to play out, and once Gio went out, amongst a couple of other players, the team just ratcheted up another gear. Pascal Gross, I thought, was excellent in this game. He had 4 assists, and he hit one off the crossbar as well. So he just was busy, and he is a nice deep line playmaker. And I wonder at times if when he performs well, how that helps Gio. Anytime any of the guys in attacking positions play well, it's not going to help Gio, I think, get more minutes. But where I do think that Dortmund also got some luck is in the Champions League. Chuck, they had a hell of a draw. They get to play Lille in the next rounds.
Hell of a draw.
Hell of a draw. So they put themselves at least, or as luck has has it, they put themselves in a good position to potentially at least get into the quarterfinals. Now, this is Borussia Dortmund, who were the finalists last year in the Champions League and lost, and actually played pretty admirably against Real Madrid in the final. But Madrid's just winning finals. That's what they do. So there's only so much you can do when the universe is against you in that way. But how do you feel with them over 2 legs against Lille? Because they could still kind of underperform, though. I thought they were pretty solid against Sporting over 2 legs in the playoff phase.
I'm still not confident in Dortmund winning. So in actuality, I think I would bet on Lille if I had to over 2 legs, just because of how they've performed in the Champions League. So I think people are going to be underestimating Lille. I think Lille are looking at it too, like, hey, this is a good situation. This is a Dortmund side that's unraveling. They haven't found any consistency. A new coach who's hasn't obviously gotten the right pulse of the team. So I think Lille are probably the team that will look at this tie and say, hey, we can go through to the next round. And then you got Benfica or Barca.
Right. Listen, I got Bob in the chat. I got S27 in the chat saying the disrespect for Lille. I think Lille will get past Dortmund, to be honest. But I was just saying, of all the opponents they could have played, they got one that on paper is a little less formidable than some of the others. That's all I'm saying. And their path to the semis, when you look at that side of the bracket, you have Barcelona, Benfica, and then Lille. You would take that over Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, and PSV, right? Or drawing Liverpool or PSG or
but then you got Aston Villa or Bruges, right? So
right. I don't know. I that's all I was saying. I think Lille will probably win over 2 legs. But yeah, your thoughts on the Champions League overall, Chuck? We don't really dive into it too much, but given what you've seen so far, we have PSV, right? They're taking on Arsenal, so we can talk about them. We should probably pivot to them really quick. I don't know who's going to be healthy or back at that point. We know Sergiño Dest has been in training. That might be too big of an ask to just throw him in against Arsenal. And I don't think maybe we'll see him, but probably not into the Eredivisie towards the later of the year. Malik Tillman's still working his way back. Ricardo Pepi obviously done for the season. So maybe Ledezma is the only American carrying the flag to start in the game. Do you give PSV any chance against Arsenal?
Yeah, I do, because Arsenal are shocking in the attacking third. You had Mikel Merino come in and score 2 goals against Leicester City, but again, it's Leicester City, and he scored 2 late goals as a substitute, and people were going, "Oh, they found their striker." It's like, wait, it's the first time he ever played that position. He's talked about, that's not his position, and he's never played it before. What made you think that they'd be able to carry Mikel Merino out for the rest of the season?
Yeah,
and then I look at some of the situations where you look at Raheem Sterling, and I feel bad for him because he looks like he's never played the game before.
Oh man.
I can't remember a player that has played at the level that Raheem Sterling has played and it has achieved and has looked so out of sorts when he's on the pitch. He's bumbling and stumbling and tripping over himself. He's constantly offside. He obviously doesn't have the pace and quickness he used to have, so he feels like he has to cheat. But when he does have the ball at his feet, there's no confidence. It's really sad to see. So just looking at that standpoint, PSV are probably going into this like, hey, we have a real good chance because they're really struggling in the attacking third.
Especially PSV host leg 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they're good at home. They played against Arsenal in the group stages of the Champions League 2 seasons ago. And it was 1-1 in Eindhoven. And then they got smacked in London 4-0. But this isn't the same Arsenal team. This Arsenal team should have signed somebody as a 9 in the transfer window. Chuck, I don't want to trigger
alone.
You.
It's like
trigger who you want. I'm triggering Chuck right now.
How many players were available for a loan? 6-month loan. And when you see some of the guys that are moving around Europe who were available because they fell out of favor with their club, there were opportunities, and just for whatever reason Arsenal didn't want to pull the trigger.
Yeah. So if you were a betting man, and I know that maybe you dabble from time to time, who do you think goes on to win this Champions League? I know you and I discussed it on Morning Footy, but for those that don't watch that regularly, and they should be on the Golazo Network, but if they're not, who do you like to win it? Are you going? Is it Real Madrid just because this is their competition?
Well, it's not only their competition. They're getting defenders back healthy, and you've added a piece like Mbappe to the team this season, and it's finally clicking. So you got Vinny, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham, all who can score goals from all over the pitch, and they're so dynamic. They can defend in a low block. They can hit you on the counter. It just seems to me that this has to be, a team that's destined for a final. And it looks like it's going to be Liverpool, Real Madrid semi. And what a semifinal that would be.
Yeah. I when I look at Madrid's road to the final, it's the hardest. It's they have Atletico Madrid over 2 legs. So those guys are going to take big chunks out of them. Most likely play Arsenal in the quarters. And then you have Liverpool or a red hot PSG team. I'm not sleeping on this PSG team just yet, but Liverpool, Real Madrid over 2 legs in a semi is awesome.
Yes,
it's awesome. And then potentially having, I would say, I think we both guessed Barcelona to be in the final. So we could have El Clasico in the final. Which
what about a Barca Bayer Leverkusen semi?
I would sign. That would be sick over 2 legs as well.
Yeah. Let's go.
We'll see. It never plays out the way that we think, but we'll have to wait to see how it goes. All right, let's get to trigger who you want, Chuck. So we got a good comment here.
Yes.
From Ivan, who says, "Bro, Charlie Chuck E. Cheese Davies, props for trying punk music, especially old school punk. I would like to hear your take after reading the lyrics, then listening again. Also, perhaps try something more modern, like something digestible, like Green Day, Blink-182, Sum 41, and maybe Suicidal Tendencies."
Oh,
are you open to that? Are you open to trying some pop punk, a little more modern pop punk?
I'm always open to anything. So yes, I'm definitely open. How about send me some songs? Not necessarily.
Okay, all right. All right.
Well, don't let me run down these albums because there's probably like
Sure.
three or 4 bangers on an album. The rest are not great. Why don't you send me some?
Okay.
Some punk punk songs that are gonna get me moving. You know what I'm saying?
So no killing the landlord.
Yeah,
type songs.
yeah. How about we pass on that one?
All right. Well, you know what? We need to make an old school, old fashioned mixtape
Yes.
for punk music for one Chuck Wagon. If you've got like a number one punk song that you want, drop us in the chat right now. I also listen to At the Drive-In. I know you don't know who they are, Chuck, but for everybody that does, their early stuff felt more punky than it got into more like prog rock and a little bit more experimental rock. But I love At the Drive-In. I think I might throw one in there.
Whoa. Green Great Basin. Is that mall goth? Does that mean like Hot Topic?
Yeah, you get to hang at a Hot Topic.
I'm going to hang out at Hot Topic for sure.
Charlie's a mall goth. I love that.
With my Doc Martens on and skinny jeans. Let's go.
And you're wearing eyeliner. That's
and a trench.
Derek says Bad Religion, 21st Century Digital Boy. Bad Religion's a good shout. Yeah, we'll get a mixtape going, and
right.
Chuck will have to listen to that when he's making his drive into Stanford to do some morning footy. At 3 a.m, we got to get Chuck pumped up and ready to go. All right, any more comments? Trigger who you want. Hit us up right now.
I've seen some good ones. Yeah,
I've seen some good
ones. Yeah, Chuck needs to address Varas. Mikey Varas,
who Chuck has potentially taken some shots at in the past. Just won his first ever MLS game in charge of San Diego FC.
Yes,
they looked better than the Galaxy. They were ready for it. Galaxy looked. Let's be honest, the Galaxy looked off the pace, and I don't know. Maybe that's the hangover of winning the championship and all the hard work it takes to do that. And your first game back, you're like, God damn it, we got to do this again. But San Diego looked like they had a point to prove and showed, and they won 2-0 deservedly.
Yeah, and I would say congratulations on his first Major League Soccer win. That's awesome. Winning your first game against the Galaxy in LA, great. You know, this is your new big derby, right? I would say that doesn't guarantee that this season's going to be a success. It's a phenomenal match to build your foundation off of and give the squad confidence, but this is a small step forward, and it's great for San Diego to come into the league and win against the defending MLS Cup champion. So I love that. And they have another big DP spot, right? So I keep seeing, hey, does KDB come to San Diego? It's getting closer. I've read a couple.
Wait. Time out. I wouldn't even sign Kevin De Bruyne right now. He just does not seem anywhere near when I think of him, that level that we know he's capable of. He just looks way off of it. I don't know if anybody watched Liverpool Man City, but he's just not the same guy. I just don't know if I would splash the cash for someone that the drop off looks relatively steep. I'm just saying. That's all.
I will say this though. Think of some of the guys that have had a drop off in Europe, but then came to MLS and the success that they had.
Okay.
So, would you not take?
I would take him, but I just wonder how much you want to splash the cat. He's a big name.
A DP is a DP in this league, right? So, if in terms of a DP, you don't think KDB could come into MLS at this stage, coming from Manchester City, and let me remind you that everybody in Manchester City, outside of Erling Haaland, looks like they're run down and not
That's fair.
playing well, right? So it's like, so if Gundogan wanted to come to an MLS team, would you say, nah, you're run down? So you could make the case for everybody at Manchester City.
All right. Listen. Also, it wouldn't be a hard sell to say, hey, listen, you get to leave Manchester and come to one of the most beautiful cities in the United States in San Diego. How would you like that? 75 every single day, nice and sunny. That could change your mood pretty quickly, I'm sure.
KDB would kill it. KDB would kill it.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking 5 years plus, no. But for that standard 3 to 4 years, yeah, I'm signing KDB for that. He's got quality up right now to come into the league as an attacking midfielder. Oh, he would absolutely kill it. Also,
I meant to mention when we were watching the highlight that the assist to Dreyer, San Diego, who Dreyer scored both of the goals for them. Tommy Angel, it's Juan Pablo Angel's son, had the assist. Really nice assist at the end of the game there to make it 2-0. When I was playing with Chivas USA, Juan Pablo was with the LA Galaxy and they got traded over to us. And at this point, I was dealing with my concussion stuff, and so I wasn't playing anymore, but I was obviously around the team. And he was like, hey, one of my kids can is a baller. And I'm like, all right. So I went and watched Tommy Angel at a U10 game, and this kid was unreal. So to see him now balling out, and I know that he was playing in Colombia and balling out, and now he's with San Diego FC. It's just, I feel super goddamn old. That's one. But also it's really cool to see that potential that and you could obviously see when he was 9, is now playing out
That's awesome.
In MLS. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, and I'd say Luca Del Torre also showed pretty well in that first game. He had some good movements, some good passes. But yeah, it's a long season. That's all I'll say.
That's all he's going to say. So he's giving everybody, let's just pretend Chuck's not here. He's giving Mikey Varas his flowers for 1 game, but not for the next 33. You got to earn it. It's you got to earn that respect. You got
straight up.
Wait. If for Mikey Varas to completely change your mind, Chuck, does he have to win MLS Cup? Like when
No, not at all.
What would it be? Like, what do you need to see?
Time out.
If he's listening to this, I want to make sure he understands the statements that you're holding him to.
Yeah, but let's be real. How do you do with the U20s World Cup? Would you say he met expectations?
Was it quarterfinals? What was it? I can't remember.
They lost to Uruguay in the knockout round. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that round of 16? I don't even know if they have 16.
But he changed the team around a little bit, and you felt like certain decisions didn't help the team, right?
Sure.
And then we saw how interim manager for the USMNT team, the coach, that didn't work out. That was a complete disaster and train wreck, and he wasn't ready for that, and that's fine. But here he is now getting an opportunity with Major League Soccer, and so far so good, right? It's 1 game. My thing is, how does he continue to evolve with this team? How does he, what are some of the ideas? How do they look to play? Are they boring? Is it, are they stretched? Are they high pressing? So just continuing to see how they evolve, because the game, LA Galaxy had their chances. It wasn't like they got played off the park.
That's true.
So it'll be interesting. I'm excited.
1 game in the bag. Mikey Varas 1, Chuck 0 at the moment, but that scoreline could change, everybody. That scoreline can change. They actually lost in the quarterfinals to Uruguay in the U20 World Cup. Only lost once that whole tournament. But there's more demands for Mikey Varas that we want to see. All right, that's it. We're calling it a show. Thank you for hanging out with us. As always, make sure you hit like and subscribe, turn on your notifications. If you haven't given any love to Tony Meola on social media yet, we encourage you to go do it, because he deserves all of our love and adoration, and we welcome him back, hopefully, to the show very, very soon. We love you, Big Tones. And that's it. So we'll see you on Thursday. We'll go live again on the Gloss America YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll preview the weekend and all the other fun stories that we'll have to talk about. And Chuck, this was fun, but I miss Tones. I'll be honest. I miss him.
Yeah.
I
miss him too. But we'll have him back soon.
Well, he'll be back soon. He'll be back soon. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon. Go be average to good, everybody. Later.
Peace
out.
Peace.
Oh,
hot topic.
Running, Chuck.
Yeah. All right. I'm in the punk music. Let's go. What do we got?